Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We're now moving into our first segment for the morning, like we mentioned to you, with the introduction, the new and innovative blue economy. We've got the minister in with us. He's none other than Honorable Perez, Minister of Blue Economy and Civil Aviation. Well, he's not in with us, but he's on the screen. He's in San Pedro. Sir, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, John, and good morning, Marlene. It is good to be here this morning with you all on Open Your Eyes. It's good to be here. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, for some reason or the other, I'm getting this vibe from you that you're so relaxed. You're calm, you're relaxed. Why is that?
Well, first of all, I'm in the confines of my home. It is normally a time to prepare, to have a good cup of coffee. I'm off to the office to work. And as usual, just finding that balance as an elected representative that you have to respond to as much as 9,000 registered voters. We are the third largest constituency.
Definitely.
So as an elected representative, and of course holding a ministerial portfolio is also another responsibility. So it's a balance between these two, attending to the service of the ministry at the national level. Yeah. And of course, not to forget our people here on Belize, which namely Ambergris, Key, and Peacocker.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I know we're talking about blue economy and there's a lot we want to get into there, but we must take a moment to focus on your constituents as well. You are on the island, and we know that San Pedro, Peacocker, the main tourism hubs, have been devastated by this pandemic. Just give us a quick synopsis before we talk about blue economy, just where we are today.
Well, of course, it's clearly news that the first casualty for our country, when we got hit, I think it was right in March 23rd, I can still recall that date. Yep. When we were the first casualty, especially in Ambergris, we were immediately placed on lockdown. So we're going to a year already. And I can tell you that it has been very brutal. We have been struggling, and literally the bottom of the tourism sector just fell down, just disappeared. And we found ourselves in unemployment. And still, I have to tell you that the statistics still show that we here in Belize South, Peacocker and San Pedro, unemployment is as high as 60 or 65%. Wow. And that's the reality, stark reality about it. So going from there, we're moving, and yes, the airports are open. We're getting more relaxed. The measures are being now taking the hours to 10 o'clock at night. But we're nowhere near close to what we were in 2019, not even 20-25% as such of occupancy right now. I can tell you it's very, very low right now.
San Pedro have always been innovative. Innovative minds on that island, I could tell you that much. When we visit, that is what we see in terms of vendors being out there, hair braiders. There are a lot of people doing a lot of things. And I'm sure, yes, as they miss the tourist, I'm sure there are innovative ways of how life is going or ongoing on that island. Can you tell us about some of the new ways of life in terms of trying to make a living that is being reared or actually rearing its head there on the island?
Well, let me tell you, first of all, you did mention at the very beginning the resourcefulness of our people, Peacocker and San Pedro. We have always been people who are very resilient, who are very innovative, who whenever we are served curveballs at us, we are able to ride with the tides and receive it in strides. And of course, the pandemic has been our biggest challenge. And you have seen many of our people diversifying, if you want to say that word, finding other ways to survive. Now, it not may be the perfect way to survive, but many of us have been moving. Like, for example, I can give an example of people who are in the tour guide industry. They have now really went back to what is traditional fishing. The hair braiders, of course, there's no jobs for them right now, absolutely none. Many have resorted to trying to sell food. We have had many people who are not doing well health-wise. They have been affected health-wise. We still have that within our community to rise to that occasion and assist as best as possible. It's always keeping watch on our brothers, and that is the community spirit that we have here in Ambergris, Key, and San Pedro. And that has helped a little bit, but obviously it's not enough. But I cannot go without mentioning that the resilience of our people. Yeah.
All right, well, let's shift gears and talk about your portfolio, the very new blue economy. I think there was a bit of an adjustment period for people to understand that this is a kind of new terminology that's being used to talk about things that include sustainable development. We are approaching almost the first 100 days in office. Tell us what you've been doing.
Okay. First of all, let me, you mentioned blue economy.
Yeah.
The blue economy is nothing new outside in the world. It
Yeah.
obviously is new here in Belize, but we need to make it clear that the blue economy portfolio is an economic portfolio.
Yeah.
It is what encompasses many different aspects as it relates to marine life, marine resources. Of course, the fisheries department is under the blue economy. And recently, a couple of weeks ago, the Coastal Zone Management Authority Institute was also added to our portfolio. These two components inherently work together. If you look at coastal management, the Coastal Management Zone Management Authority, it is actually encompasses what is all the blue economy has been. And if you look at the history of it since its inception in 1989, which by the way, was coined, the coastal zone was formed in 1989 here in San Pedro.
Wow.
With a meeting of what they call the meeting of the great minds. That is how coastal zone management was started. But if you look at it, it is actually fully the blue economy. So to make it clear that blue economy has been working with us here, we have worked it since inception, but putting all together, which is fisheries and the coastal zone, and there are other different departments that should be under it. But with these two, suffice to say, is enough to what we can do is the blue economy. So what is the blue economy? First of all, we make it clear, this is not an environmental ministry. And that's one of the things that people take, for instance, for granted that, oh, the blue economy, no, yes, you're going to have a lot of marine reserves, you're going to have protected areas more, all of these things that you're hearing. No, it's not. But it's also, we must include development, sustainable development. So the blue economy is actually charting the way forward, putting all of these together, respecting our environmental laws, the people who are the NGOs, we want to work with them, and also with the people who want to come and invest, especially in times like these that our economy is faltering. Foreign investment is much needed. But it is our job in the blue economy to monitor, to see that these people are coming. We thoroughly vet them, and that they comply with our laws and regulations that exist here to protect our marine resources, our islands, the coastal zones, and everything. But there's also that equilibrium that we must find there, that we must be open for business. We have to get rid of, mentioned it from the very beginning, about the bureaucracy, the red tape that occurs that often frustrates our investors. And also, we're not looking for these type of environmentalists to come here very militant as well, who is just approaching that it's their way or the highway. We cannot work with that. So it is an approach of the blue economy as representatives to work there, synchronize the synergy between them, investors, and as well as the environmentalists, the NGOs who we really respect and we work along with them as well.
And you know, I think it's long been a situation where Belizeans, as in the general public, we have a sense of pride over the natural resources that we've been blessed with. And we really have been able to kind of build the sense of awareness to realize just what it takes to be able to maintain it. And there has been, prior to this new administration, just continuous challenges in being able to balance between development and conservation. And very often it can become, big issues that would either lead to a stall or a total upset from the NGO community. How do you put into place systems or look at the existing systems to find that right balance?
That's a great question. And also that falls into what is called our 100 days plan. We do have a 100 days plan, and I'm happy to report to you that we have much has been accomplished in less than 100 days in the Ministry of Blue Economy. It is, there's much more to be done. And yes, we would have loved to accomplish more, but I am quite satisfied with the team that we have here, and that we are actually quickly, it has been more of an analysis to look at what we have first. Is what is remaining, or what we have as the barrier reef, if you want to call it, the marine resources, that it is still rich. It must be protected. I mean, incidentally, this weekend I was down south in Punta Gorda. I visited the southernmost part of the islands, and namely Hunting Key, where there is a fisheries department there as well as the Coast Guard. And I had the privilege and opportunity also to take a dive there, because I'm a certified diver.
Wow.
And I went. I did a 65-feet dive there.
Wow.
And I am sad to tell you that the fish stock there is very much depleted.
Wow.
I am no marine biologist. As you can see that picture there are lots of lionfish, very few groupers, not much. I did not see much of that snappers that you would see in schools when you do those divings. That is a telling story that there is a lot of work for us in the fisheries department, in the blue economy and coastal zone, everything, that there is much to be done to seek these funds. Now, you're talking about finding a delicate balance with those investors who want to come in. Obviously, we have massive projects in the pipeline. I can tell you that much. It is staring at us, and we cannot be that government that is taking the approach of kicking that proverbial can up the road all the time. It has to stop. We must make decisions, but we must make informed decisions.
Yeah.
We must allow the people to carry out the studies, the EIAs, all of these environmental compliances that need to be done. But there is also, sad to say, that there in their lives as well corruption that lends itself that certain times reports are not as forthcoming. I can tell you that much, and that is occurring here in Bergiski as well, that we will perhaps need to go and revisit these studies. And I'm not calling names out, I'm not accusing anyone, but I believe that if we place the rules and regulations, the laws that exist there, allow it to work, and allow it to be in place, and we do it in a very expeditious manner, that we have a timeline, especially for investors, but we come up with a definitive solution. Notice that whenever we make a decision, there will always be one side that will not be happy. We cannot. And I'm prepared to accept that. As a minister here, you cannot make everyone happy. That's a perfect person can do it. And even the father of the nation had encountered many adversities, especially in time when it's fight for independence. So in the days coming ahead, there will be controversy. Decisions will be made, but we must remain with a clear conscience that decisions that are made is based on informed decisions, empirical evidence that allows us to move forward.
Well, I guess the question
blue economy.
I guess the
Yes,
question is informed by who? Because we know that there are some structures established when you talk about finding that, when you're looking at approval for investments, or you're looking at moving ahead with making a reservation or de-reserving an area or using an area and how to use it. These are all examples of I know, things on your plate. But there are bodies that have been set up, and quite frankly, people are not foolish to look at members and know whether or not it's being stacked in favor of either side. I mean, you are the referee in what has been a very public contentious fight for years.
Certainly, I want to agree with you that we need to, and that's part of our studies and analysis, and part of our 100 days plan is actually to set up, to become more, having someone to come here to do something, you have to come in and say, oh, you have to go to the blue economy, or rather going deeper, you got to get approvals from the fisheries department. You have to get approval from the coastal zone. You have to go into environment department. You have to go to sustainable development. You have to go, all of these things create barriers. And of course, we need to consult as well with the right people, thoroughly vet those who are going to be doing the ground studies, because that's another thing also. When that's some of the companies, they hire their own consultants to come and do these studies, and this is where it lends itself to create problems eventually, to be one-sided. And also that is where the advocacy of the NGOs, that they step in there and says, well, listen, we cry foul or something. But all of this it needs to be looked at thoroughly. Obviously, there's many stakeholders in there who are having their voice, and we don't want to be creating chaos. And sad to say, that has been the past. So I think there is a concerted effort and a great responsibility from everyone on board, and that there has to be more consultations to say, look, we need to move forward. We cannot be saying at all times that what we have here must remain and preserve it. What good do we benefit from that? Yes, we need to move forward, but we need to grow. We need to, especially the blue economy, we have a responsibility to grow this economy, and it exists. There is a wealth untold there, especially in deep sea fishing. But we need to think whether what is our fish stock there? What amount of fish do we have here? How much do we harvest? And we must harvest an amount that is going to grow the economy, but we must keep it in a sustainable manner for the next generations to come.
Yeah, you're totally right there. And I think some of the points or some of the questions that you alluded to there are very, very important questions, because there is no way you could do deep sea fishing by actually depleting your stock there and expect that the next generation will be benefiting from depleted stock. But I also wanted to get back to your 100-day plan. I mean, you campaigned on it, and it's definitely one of those things that got you guys, or got you, as a matter of fact, into office. So while the economy is the way that it is, and a lot of people are actually squealing at this particular point, or let's say everybody, how are you carrying out your plan, approaching 100 days, with lack of financing?
Well, if you're asking me the 100 days plan as a representative or as a 100 days plan, the blue economy, not too sure how you're asking me that question. Certainly, there's a 100 days plan as an elected
As a blue economy.
as a blue economy. Yes. What we have done, as I said, is the analysis that we have there.
Yeah.
We have done replace, and we realize, especially in the fisheries department, that we have very little resources, very little equipment. We have the boats, for example. Let me use the example down south. The boats, the patrol boats. It's a 21-footer with a 60 horsepower. They have gas every 2 weeks. That is enough to take them from Punta Gorda to the island.
Yeah.
And then there's only remainder of 20 gallons of gas for patrolling. And in bad weather, they cannot go.
Yeah.
That is the type of things we have encountered.
Yeah.
So now what we're doing is, strategically, we're having a five-year plan. But the 100 days is to actually tie in both the fisheries department and coastal zone together and creating one group, one body, and looking at resources. That's one of the things that we have. There are resources available, funds available, where we have embarked with many consultants. We have brought in 2 consultants, namely, to bring along also proposals that are there, funds existing. It is obvious. We are going into 100 days also, close to it. I have yet to submit a cabinet paper, because if I submit a cabinet paper, it's for the seeking of funds. And I know I'm responsible, and I'm a realist that this is not going to happen. There's no funds in government. Yeah. So we got to get resourceful. We have to go back to the drawing board, and knowing that within the blue economy, it exists. And I can tell you that very soon the funds are coming in. We have scored one with the Marathon Alliance last week, and that is coming in very shortly. And I can assure you that these funds are going to be placed directly back into where they belong, so that they put to good use in getting equipment, empowering our colleagues there in the fisheries department, who are very much demoralized. They are not motivated because of, given the resources, very little resource that they have. That is part of the 100 days plan that we're doing. But can I add also that it is quickly putting together also at the regional body as well, getting on with the regional bodies in Central America and the Caribbean, and letting them know that it is a different ball game. There's a new administration, and we have been hitting the ground running.
How do you structure? Let me step back. In your assessment, when you went in and as you complete your first 100 days, where do you see the greatest deficiencies?
If you're talking about both ministries,
we're blue economy right now.
Portfolios.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Both.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Could you?
I was saying both. Yeah.
Yes. I want to focus on blue economy because civil aviation is another different portfolio that has its own challenges as well. But of course, yes, we have a 100 days plan that is working there as well. The greatest deficiencies that we encounter in those departments is a lot of machinery in place. In fact, if you look at the fisheries department, if you go there, that building is totally dilapidated. In fact, there's no repairs. It needs to be demolished. We have to come up with a plan to build a new building there. We need lots of patrol boats more needed. To, especially this week, you heard about the assaults of our fisher folks down south.
Yeah.
All of these things is there. And then we have created a pool of staff that are sitting down here unable to do anything because we're not blaming them. Sometimes they feel as, they're just sitting down and doing nothing. But really and truly, if we don't prepare the tools, give them the tools to do it, they will go and do the work. Yeah. And that is the biggest major deficiency that we found there is the lack of equipment. Infrastructure is seriously lacking in the fisheries department.
So at this particular point, are you satisfied with where you are, or have you exceeded expectations in carrying out your plan for the blue economy with the team?
I have to be, I have to be honest. There's more to be done, but I like to look at it in a very optimistic manner. I would have wanted to have accomplished more in these first 100 days. But I look back and I say that I'm quite happy to what we have done in less than 100 days. And not only by rhetoric that I'm saying here, but if you will consult with our staff there in the fisheries department, and now that the coastal zone is on board, that they are excited they're coming on board with us as well. We have accomplished with very little, with very limited resources, right? Look, I think that what we are gearing for right now is to make the fisheries department, the coastal zone management, part of the blue economy. Let's work together in putting a framework for it to become a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
You need to come in and invest.
Yeah.
We need to have all of these places. XYZ is needed for you to come and invest. You want to develop a resort on the coastal zone of this country, and this is what is needed for you. And we will guide you, not only just show the papers and say, okay, go about your business, see what you can do.
Yeah.
It is our responsibility. That is part of the 100-day strategic plan that we are doing to make it easier. But remember, the environment, our country has wealth untold. We have a responsibility to keep it that way for generations to come.
Yeah.
So that's not only for creating investment more conducive and easier, but that there are laws in place that our fisher folk, the fisheries department, the coastal zone management, and other different NGOs involved will also play a crucial part in preserving what we have there for generations to come.
Yeah.
We have seen that, and I love the fact that you alluded to the innovative minds of those living, especially in your municipality of San Pedro. But you know, we continue to talk about fisheries department. We know that fishing is definitely a big part of how Belizeans actually started. What are you seeing across the country, and especially in the coastal areas, with respect to fishing? Are our fisher folk actually saying anything? Are there a few things that they would need or want to see that you're working on with them with?
Yes, absolutely. One of the things that we need to do, especially with this pandemic, it cleared out to force many people to engage in fishing. And I can tell you that that created a problem as well, that because of no type of training or education as to how to do fishing in a sustainable manner is not there. But I will go further to your question, is that it teaches us a lesson that there is much to be done in the seas to extract the fish. Now, there are cooperatives, we have been in contact with them, and they do need assistance and guidance, technical support. All of these things are needed, and that is what the blue economy is looking at. I go back to what, in particular, to use an example, the deep sea fishing. I think that there is something that is untapped, but we cannot be allowing, for example, international fishers to come in and say, we just need a license to do deep sea fishing. I think it has to be in collaboration with our local fisher folk. They need to be trained. They need to be taught the right ways, how we can go there and do that deep sea fishing, because that fish fetches high prices.
Of course.
And I think that we have to lead that way to do it better and grow the economy. So fisheries, the blue economy is...
Let me jump in on that one for a second, because I know that the fisheries department has talked about differentiating their fish stock for such a long time. And we know, they're valuable tunas and other fishes that you can be able to get in the deep sea off the coast of Belize. But when you look at fuel costs and what our local fishers can afford to go out to be able to get these high value fish, it really makes it a lot harder for them to tap into markets like that. Have you explored options as to how to incentivize this kind of differentiation?
Of course, we're looking at these days, the increase of price of gas is always takes a hit. In fact, I've been called by some of my constituents, what's going on here? I'm new government and we're raising the prices of gas. Look, if we take the approach that our fisher folks are in the same line as our brothers and sisters in the agriculture sector, and that is where I come in as the Minister of Blue Economy to advocate for these things, not only for fuel costs, but I believe that also we need to look for incentives in terms of them buying outboard motors. See, right now the present system is that an outboard motor is really, when you go to the agencies and you buy an outboard motor, it is called luxury. That's how it's treated,
Really?
as opposed to a farmer who goes and buys a truck or a tractor. It is for agriculture. So it is high time, and we're working on that as well, to make a presentation that it is high time that we treat our tour guides, our fisher folks, everyone in there who are involved in not only in the fisheries, but tourism as well, because they both go together. All right, sports fishing, all these things is no longer should be treated as luxury, or rather necessity.
Yeah.
That in itself would be a big help in the future ahead, and it can happen. It is something that we can put together. We are working on it that will assist us in growing the economy. So that's the two things that we can do: looking at fuel costs and looking at a special incentive for our people who go and buy these motors for themselves. And it's no longer, as I said, it's no luxury. It is a necessity. It's a work tool. It's a workhorse.
Yeah. When you look at the strategic plan that you're putting together, and you know the realities, especially of your own constituents, what excites you the most in your plan that you would love to see be completed sooner rather than later, and that you know will change the quality of life of people?
I've always been a person who loves sports fishing.
Yeah.
I think that we need to create a synergy that is what we call fishing and tourism might seem two things, but we can do it to merge together. Sports fishing is always big.
Yes.
Not only we're talking about sports fishing in many different aspects, reef fishing, deep sea fishing, we're talking about the flats right now. That is also creating a boon. If you will understand what is flat fishing, that is actually translates into thousands of dollars. So my dream is one day is to really work in that way to be able to do it in a very sustainable manner and tag and have, there is actually no empirical evidence as to what type of amount of fishing is being done in sports fishing. That falls under the coastal zone management. That is one thing that can be done. Secondly, I think that there is, I would like to say, look at what is being exported. Conchs, lobster, all of these things are being sent out just as is. It is time for us to look the other way, and I love to accomplish that, is set up some kind of food conservation here. If, for example, the conch, instead of sending it by lumps or everything, why can't we, and we are looking at it, and there's the funds existing, and it's easy to be done. It's not something out of this world. It's to set up a plant, especially here in Ambergiski, to use the conch and add value added to it. Let's do it and start to put the conchs being exported by the way of being canned or bottled, prepared already for a ceviche. If you want to make a ceviche, instead of you buying it, buy a kind of already cubes of conch that has higher value and more money stays on the island. I would like to accomplish something like in the very near future, and I think we are going that direction.
I would buy that. I don't have to. You don't have to send it to the States. That's less work.
I can guarantee whenever we start that, even before we start exporting, the shops and stores in this country will be lining out to buy it. And I'm telling you, we have lots of great people here, great cooks who know how to prepare these conchs, and I have great respect for them. So it's learning from them, and with technical support expertise that will teach us on food conservation, that we can do it. It is achievable. It can be done. We have the conchs there. Instead of exporting it in lumps, let's do it and can it or bottle it. Very soon, you'll be hearing from that. That is one of my main goals I would like to achieve. And not only here in Ambergiski, but down south, wherever the conch is plentiful, we can do it. It's not hard to be done. The funds exist. I know of a Belizean right now who is studying in Mexico right now and studying that very exact program right now with his food conservation in the university.
Fantastic. So moving towards the value-added product, earning more. So that's one of the things that excites you. So let's look at the other side of the coin. What's going to be the biggest challenge in executing your strategic plan?
Obviously, it's a given. Funds is always a major problem at this point in time. As I said earlier, we should have been in the times when the previous administration, when everybody could just pass a cabinet paper and they get approved. I am told the cabinet meetings would last as much as those 2 hours, and it's all over. We're going for an entire day having intense meeting. So obviously, funds is the biggest challenge, but we got to get, we have to be smart. We have to be, as your minister, I have to really surround myself with good people, good advisors, consultants who are coming up with these proposals. Indeed, there are many agencies who are offering these funds that can be accessed. But all we need to do is have those great plans and proposals and projects that we can be presenting. And I have great confidence in the team that we are forming up right now. And very soon, those funds are going to be coming to us. And we are going to make use of it, and every dollar is going to be put to it and get value from every dollar we get.
All right. Well, Honorable Minister, I'll tell you what, it was great learning what the blue economy is. But let's continue on with, of course, you mentioned, especially in the blue economy, and I was here sitting down thinking about it. We talk about coastal zone management. What are all the departments that are on the blue economy? And this is, of course, to educate folks so they understand exactly what blue economy is.
Well, let me tell you, the blue economy, if we would be talking about assigning all the different components to the blue economy, I think the Prime Minister would be having a problem with me, because saying, listen, you're sitting on the most powerful portfolio there, because what entails the blue economy is fisheries, coastal zone, park should be there, the environment should be there, the port should be there, and the registering of the vessels should be there as well. Even Imarbe should be in my Ministry of the Blue Economy. If you research it, that is what the blue economy is. But it is all a big portfolio. But right now we have is fisheries and coastal zone. Those are the two boats that falls under the blue economy for the moment. And it's a lot of work already. It is already looking at, it's going to be packed with a lot of work up ahead. So that's basically it. I don't want to be intruding in other people's ministries. I do have a great respect for my colleagues there. But as it is right now, it is enough for us to have us keep us busy.
And I wanted to ask about that. Let's look at what the past has taught us. Once upon a time, there were multiple ministers who bought into a concept of runway on an airstrip on the reef. And we can talk about what that did, but I want to look forward and talk about the fact that while you have the responsibility of blue economy, because it's so closely tied to investment opportunities and tourism and many other portfolios that are held by other ministers, how do you ensure that your plan is on the same page as all the others?
Well, I believe it starts first with me as the Minister of the Blue Economy. I cannot take the approach of, as it was done in the past, to say, this is my ministry, Getina, this is my business, and you do my own. Absolutely not. And I do not get that from the rest of my colleagues in cabinet. Yeah. And I want to make it clear that right now, the Ministry of the Blue Economy and the portfolios that we have there, Blue Economy and Civil Aviation, they are inherently intertwined with the Ministry of Tourism.
Yes.
It is inherently intertwined with the Ministry of Sustainable Development and Environment. All of these are all coming together. And we understand that we have to work together. The work that needs to be done has to be a concerted effort. So that is the most important thing, is that we as colleagues, we recognize that to move forward, we cannot be acting in an individualistic or unilateral manner. It has to be a very concerted effort, a group kind of thing, especially as it relates to the blue economy. Yeah. So many components fall together in the blue economy. And yes, tourism is one of those that fall underneath as well. It's the attitude. I think that's the most important thing that we have, is the synergy that we create with all of us in cabinet. That's important. And I think that's a big win for people right now, is that a united effort is there. It exists. I can feel it. I can sense it. And I can tell you, constantly in dialogue, especially with the Minister of Tourism and also with the Minister of Sustainable Development, also, who also we're engaging soon to meet with some other issues we need to discuss. And that's how it should be.
Yeah. And what about streamlining services? You spoke before of striking that balance with conservation and development. Well, it also then causes quite a bit of backlog in getting able to move things forward. So tell me what you find there and what's your plan?
You're talking about streamlining?
Yeah, streamlining.
Yes, you mean streamlining means like you need to make things easier for everyone. That is very, very important. That is part of the restructuring our plans right now. And obviously, even not only restructuring, but total organizing the entire departments all together must be done. A lot of trimming the fat on the side. That is, some certain things are so obsolete, some other things are redundant, archaic. We are doing the whole thing right there, Malene. And if I tell you about streamlining, I'm not going to finish right now. But I want to use a specific example that falls under the blue economy. That Holchan department, it's a reserve, a marine reserve that is here based in San Pedro. That is used to be a very robust marine resource department there that controls, manages Holchan and Shark Ray. Was left in shambles. But one of those things is that because there was no accountability, the misspending that went there in the millions of dollars, and we're doing auditing right now. But we go back to what you say, streamlining, that now we have to come back and organize ourselves in a more efficient manner. Case in point, someone needs to leave from Belize to go to Holchan. Why do you have to come to San Pedro to get your tickets? We need to be doing it more efficiently, that whenever someone is coming from Belize, they easily get their tickets, whether it's online, e-tickets, the QR codes that are existing. We have to become innovative. We have to stop that use of cash coming in, direct cash. We have to let it be going directly to the bank. So whenever the time comes for end of month to do all of these reconciliations, it's in there. Part of that is the plan, and not using Holchan as an example. This is also in fisheries as well. We need to streamline it better. We need to make it better for our fisher folks as well. I don't know if Yes, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off there. I thought you were finished or concluded there. But I also wanted to top into this weekend. You took a trip across southern Belize. You got to see the real beauty of this country. And I mean,
I was gonna say, don't put him on the spot because those beaches down there in the south are really everybody should experience.
Yeah,
that.
so
but we won't do that to you because we know you have people from San Pedro watching.
Yes. So tell us about where you went and your observations, and what are your plans to make those places even stronger?
Yeah, indeed. This weekend I was in Punta Gorda. I went there to Toledo District. On the invitation of, I want to acknowledge the folks from TIDE, Mrs. Celia Mahong, the Toledo Institute for Development and Education. And the CEO and I embarked on going to down south. So it really wasn't a weekend to go and go party and everything. It really was a working trip that we went there to inspect. It's very tiresome. A long boat ride from Punta Gorda to Hunting Key is 2 hours. You get to understand, you get to walk with the people, you empathize with them, the conditions that our people with the fisheries department is. And also I want to acknowledge Senator Bevington Cup, who took me for that dive to make things out there, see how things are going. So as the Minister of Blue Economy, I went there to see firsthand what is going. So to submit a report, and that is what we're doing this week, is to come up with a report and report in cabinet what is it that we're finding, that it's nothing that's surprising us in terms of resources. But indeed, to highlight what is actually Punta Gorda, it is a very beautiful district. It is remote, but the roads are fantastic. I can tell you the infrastructure there, all the way to the Halacte border, is, I'm impressed. I think that Punta Gorda can become a district that very soon is going to be at the forefront of trade as soon as we in the very near future, we settle our differences between Guatemala and Belize, which I am confident is going to be resolved very soon. I think that one of the biggest beneficiaries, if we do it the right way, and good leadership, Punta Gorda, the Toledo district can actually become the district at the forefront to benefit as it relates to trade. They already has the infrastructure. But that's another matter to discuss. The blue economy, we're saying, yes, it's very beautiful.
Well, what you saw were opportunities, and I think that's ideal in itself. So even if it doesn't fall under your direct ministry, you have the ears very close to hear.
No, we have to be, we have to be well-rounded. We have to be informed, not only just focusing on the blue economy, but we have to be looking at in a national perspective here. I do care for Abergiski. I do care for Kikaker. It is my heart and soul here. I am an elected representative, but I must remind myself that I am serving at a national level.
That's right.
I'm serving our country and people of Belize, and the Prime Minister has given me that has appointed me to serve in that capacity, and I take it very seriously. But we don't forget nobody, and that is why I refer to loving Abergiski, but appreciating the great people of the Toledo district. Wonderful people over there as well. I want to thank them personally right now.
Yeah. Well, before you go, I think we have to tackle the issue of looking at what's happening with ongoing consultations for development. There was a pause put in place, and there's been no status update as to what takes place now.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you clearly. Could you please repeat?
I was saying, let's talk about the ongoing consultations for the port developments. There was a pause put in place, and I know that there's a reassessment taking place. You mentioned that earlier. But what is your plan moving forward?
That is a very, obviously, it's a touchy situation. Many investors are coming in and several ports coming in. My opinion, I will give you one time. I don't think we are able to sustain so many ports there. I can tell you that much. Considering, as I said in the very beginning, is to put a pause on it for the moment. Now, I do understand one of the ports already is far developed. For the past 10 or 12 years, they have been ongoing. And I believe it is our responsibility to give them the due attention for them to accomplish what they want to accomplish, since it's been on the pipeline for the 10, 12 years. That would be, I would leave it at that for sure. And expanding the other ports, for example, as it relates to freight, is something that might be needed. But it's just doing that due process to follow. We need to consult. But I tell you that it is going to be very delicate. It certainly cannot be one single decision from the Ministry of the Blue Economy and Civil Aviation. It has to come directly from a national perspective. It has to come directly from the Belize government completely. And I will be playing a part and a role in it as well. But indeed, it's a lot at stake. And I think that several more consultations need to be done. I think the environmental studies need to be done properly. That's for sure. The compliance has to be done thoroughly. It's going to be a long time. It won't be happening overnight. That's for sure. It's the magnitude of that project. All those projects, they're very huge. So there's no immediate answer to that, I can tell you. And I would leave it at that.
All right. Minister Perez, well, we're so thankful that you've joined us this morning. It's always good to get an insight into what new things are. And just hearing the words, the blue economy, and minister with responsible for blue economy, the buy-in must be there. People must understand. Any final words from you before we leave for this morning?
Yes. I don't want to be closing off here by showing the bias for only the portfolio of the blue economy. But, just to remind you that I have the portfolio of the civil aviation, whom I am having a great work relationship with the entire department there. So I don't want them to feel left out. I said, Minister Andrew only dedicating himself to blue economy. I'm not talking about the civil aviation, but I want to tell you that a lot of things are happening there as well in that portfolio as well. Many things occurring. A strategic plan in place, the 100 days plan, has yielded a lot more results there already. And one of the things that we have done there is to work along with the stakeholders. And that involves also the Ministry of Tourism and also the airports management concession company there, who have warmly received us, and working also with the statutory bodies with the Belize Airports Authority. All of these combined. And I think the main goal right now is to make sure that the flow of traffic at the airport, at the PGIA, becomes more smoother. And I think we're doing a great job at it, but we need to be more competitive and comparing our results at the regional level. And also that we look at other ways to grow the economy, which is also private flights coming in. A lot of private flights are coming in now. I think in 2019, it registered the highest. It grew exponentially prior to the pandemic. And one of the complaints that they brought there was, in the reports that we get, is that these private planes take a little bit too long at the airport to process their papers as it relates to immigration, customs, BAHA, all these different departments. And we have done studies where we compare to the rest of the islands, namely Bahamas and all these places where there's a lot of private flights coming in. Many people who love to fly for travel and sports, they have that as a hobby. We need to lend more attention to these, how to make it more efficient for them to come. Remember, landing at the PGA is the first impression of a person who comes to visit Belize.
Yeah.
You stay there half an hour, 40 minutes, and everything is processed, and you leave to your destination, then it's working.
Yeah.
And that's part of the job of civil aviation, to make these things as a regulatory body, to make things, but safety first. Let's not forget that.
Of course. And due diligence.
In aviation, there's a saying that says in flying, failure is not an option.
Yeah.
But finding that balance. So I just want to close up with that to tell you thank you very much, but that I'm very much paying keen attention equally to both portfolios, the blue economy and civil aviation. Both of them are extremely important. I take them very seriously.
Thank you,
I want
sir.
to thank you for having me this morning.
All right. Thank you so very much for clarity. Thank you for joining us this morning. And here's to wishing you a very good day.
Thank you.
All right, so we're about to take a break. When we come back, Belize International Jazz Festival presents Jazzy Valentine Special. We'll talk about it when we come back. Stay with us. We'll be right back.